we had the whole Motown thing, of course. We had the whole funk thing that happened. We had the whole jazz thing that happened. We have like a lot of excellent musicians that come from Detroit. But when you look at the MC5s and Iggy Pop and Bob Seger and Ted Nugent and all those guys, you know, I don't know if they had family that were working in the auto industry, where definitely, you know, Berry Gordy worked in the auto industry for half a second, you know, and we all experienced the decay of the auto industry. So we have like this inspiration that comes from it. That's like a real crazy futuristic manga version of Blade Runner, you know, and our concepts of how we deal with it. But on the rock side, I don't quite know what sparks that energy that comes from it, and for it to be so powerful too. I mean, you know, with White Stripes, the stuff is just two instruments and it's powerful as hell. You know, three fingers but two instruments. You know, I can't forget to say the late great Jay Dilla, or I can't, you know, not talk about Slum Village and not talk about Dwele and not talk about, you know, all this other music that's come from Detroit. We have great conductors that come from Detroit, so it's just, you know, it's just something that we're turned on for some reason to making music, and that there's, you know, this seriousness that comes from making the music that makes the music very important.
Jeff Mills,
yeah,
and people like that, they'd obviously describe as like first generation Detroit, and yourself, would you say second generation Detroit? Or is
that's a difficult one, because musically, for putting out records, Kevin, Derek, and Juan, of course, were first generation, but Jeff Mills, for putting out records, was later. Jeff and I put out records around the same time. So for me to be considered second generation, but Jeff first generation, it just doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really make too much sense. I mean, Jeff was definitely, as a DJ, a real inspiration to me, you know. And then, of course, later, after he and Mike were doing music as Underground Resistance, it was really another inspiration. But, you know, of course, Underground Resistance actually started putting out records after I did, you know. So what?
So I guess it's what people conceive as something that it's actually quite a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah. We keep in contact. Kevin Saunderson and I keep in contact. Kenny Larkin and I keep in contact. Stacey Pullen and I keep in contact. You know, we had an amazing night. Even though I don't play Lost, we had an amazing night at Lost when Kevin and Jeff Mills were playing there, and Derek and Stacey and me and Kenichi were all there, and it was really quite interesting, because I think that was the first time that I've ever seen Jeff Mills talk on the microphone, you know, during a set. And yeah, he was like, oh, you know, this is fantastic that, you know, all these guys are here from Detroit and all on the same stage and da 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 da. So, you know, it was real nice. You know, in order to make club records, I think that you do have to have some type of connection with the club, whether it's as a DJ or as a dancer or whatever. You know, I did make a lot of music before I DJ'd, and I made a lot other type of music after I DJ'd. So, you know, for me to come back and put my experiences into music is very common for me, and I think that it's a great combination of DJ and production, because I can play something out that I might have worked on before I left, and if it doesn't work, then I can see how the people respond to it and change it, you know. So you know, so it's an important testing ground, and always I try to get better at what I do, you know. So, you know, whether it's spending 24 hours in the studio, refining a mix, or experimenting with new sounds and new ideas and new concepts, and then those new concepts, I come out and, you know, have some drinks and play some music and feel it out and hear it and see how people respond. and then I can go back and say, okay, this totally sucks, and then I have to change it or scrap it or redo it or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think for every generation, there's a night or a club or a set of clubs or whatever. And for me, it was the Music Institute, and you know, that was like the last stage of Detroit nightlife that was in the same vein as what Paradise Garage and the Warehouse and the Music Box and those places were. You know, it was Music Institute in heaven. So, you know, to come across clubs like that is very, you know, quite amazing when you can. And I think for every generation they have their Paradise Garage, they have their.
Do you think it will happen again though? Do you think it ever reaches the same point?
That's what dollop is, man. Yeah. There is a 12-inch remix of mine and Ricardo Villalobos of the Recomposed release, which is the classical release that myself and Maurice von Oswald did. It's like a update of classical, so it's not really classical. It's sort of next level classical shit. So that remix is coming up. I did a set of compositions that was performed by Symphony in Paris and in Berlin for Recomposed and my other pieces. So we're looking forward to doing more of that kind of stuff. I have the jazz record with Tribe that's coming out. I have an Afro blues record that's coming out with Sangoma Everett and Corey Harris. We have more releases from Planet E, new Glimpse release that I did a remix on. I did a remix of Martin Butrich that's coming out on Planet E. With Jonah on the other side, we have a lot of stuff that's happening. A lot of stuff that's happening. I don't see how it all gets done, but it does, you know. This is Carl Craig, and I just played a dollop at Stealth in Nottingham. Great night, short but sweet. Wonderful time. See you next time.